So we're that close to perfect in your mind of where if we decentralize these archive nodes, these full nodes of Bittensor, we don't really need any more features in terms of the incentive mechanism, miners, validators, subnet owner interactions, dynamic tau pricing of subnet admissions. You believe we're close to feature complete, if not already there.
There's a lot of stuff that hasn't been built out yet on Bittensor that we can already build out on, right? Like there's EVM now. So like all the things that Ethereum is capable of, like I haven't seen NFTs on Bittensor, but is it possible because of
It's
EVM?
possible.
So there's just like a lot that hasn't been built out yet that is possible today. In my mind, maybe there's something after the substrate chain is decentralized that we can still do. But like the OTF is doing a really good job. So like they spot things that I'm like, holy cow, how'd you spot that? And like making improvements that I don't understand until like months after the fact. I'm like, oh yeah, that was a good design decision. They're doing a really good job there. So I wouldn't, and the intelligence required to do that is like insane. Like the knowledge of economics required and all this incentive stuff, and AI is involved in many of the decisions up there as well. Like I call people that are like that intelligent, I call them standard deviations, because I think of like the IQ curve. Like maybe I'm a little bit on the higher end of the, I wouldn't say higher end, but like average higher end of the IQ, and like they're a standard deviation or more intelligent than me, right? Like I feel like I can't even I shouldn't be talking to them. It's not permitted. So yeah, I don't have too much of an opinion on if we're there yet. I think we're at the right place economically when we do that, when we get the chain decentralized or the substrate chain decentralized.
What do you see as the biggest potential impacts of Bittensor on society as a whole, or in the next 5, 10 years, extrapolating out into the future? What are some impacts you see Bittensor having?
I think it's going to change a lot how people work. Like right now, I think about, I want to mine on Bittensor and how can I do that in the most beneficial way? And right now, for me, it's Bitcast, right? It's kind of aligned with my skill set at this point where like I can be the most productive for Bittensor by doing that. And I think that I think that will become more and more common. Like more and more people will be like, okay, well, this is my skill set, so I'll be a miner on that subnet, and it'll, the technical barrier to entry will go down over time, and we'll have a lot of Bittensor almost becomes like a job board. Like, oh, I could do that. I could do that. And pick wherever your strengths are, and of course, based on your compensation as well. There. But I think it'll have a massive impact on the power structures in the world. So governments, large corporations and such, they're gonna, what's that word that you hear in all the tech companies?
Specialization?
No, the one that it's like a cliche nowadays. Where
Synergy.
there's so many words. Disruption. That's the word. It's going to disrupt a lot of the power structures in the world. And I don't know in what ways, but I think that generally if you've got entrenched power, disrupting it is a good thing.
I'll have to adjust my verbiage to be more bipartisan, I guess. So you've made a mining course. How many subnets have you mined on? When did you start mining? What are the hardest parts about mining? What's life as a miner like?
They say if you can't teach. So I tried mining a couple subnets before making the course, and I made a little bit of tau, but like basically nothing. But I, had gotten the process down for setting up a new miner. So yeah, I'm not great at mining subnets, but I guess I can explain it. Does that answer your question in full, or was there more?
No, that explains what life as a miner is like. It's competitive, right? That's what it's all about.
Very competitive, very difficult, and there's a lot of things that can like go wrong or bite you that you might not expect. But yeah,
some people have said this competition at a subnet level, or have implied that competition at a subnet level isn't what is most efficient, because other subnets will start competing with each other and try to tear each other down instead of just growing the size of the pool. What is your take on inter-subnet competition and the competitive dynamics that detail created amongst subnets?
I think competition is almost always good. So, whichever subnet, if two are competing, whichever subnet wins, that's good. It benefits the system as a whole, and it's open source. So another subnet can still copy their code afterwards and make improvements where they see fit. See it as a negative thing.
What are your thoughts on subnets being sold to other people and these cold key swaps?
Yeah, I don't know fully at this point. It seems like you can, if you buy a subnet, then you can start accumulating the subnet's token and make a lot of money that way if your subnet is valuable. Whereas like a subnet like Bitcast, where, I started mining it on day one and nobody had pre-mined it, so to speak. That seemed like extremely fair to me, right? Like I almost didn't believe it. I was like, oh no, the subnet owner is going to have 100% of the emissions for the first few days or something like that. And it's like, no, it was pretty much, I started getting rewards like almost immediately. I think we were only waiting on the YouTube API to provide the information on that. So, but yeah, like I'm unsure because it almost seems like buying a used car. If you're buying a subnet, like there could be issues with I guess they're known issues, which is like, there's basically been a pre-mine on the subnet, which is kind of against Bittensor's ethos, right? With the whole, we don't want to do any pre-mining. And I almost wonder if it would be better to have like something where through magic, the subnet is reset. So everybody gets cashed out at whatever the current alpha price is. And we start at 0 for that subnet. Again, it would have to use magic, but that would be the best approach, I would imagine. But yeah, I'm really torn on that. I don't know one way or the other because like if somebody's bought a subnet, they should be able to sell it. They should be able to certainly move it to a new key, especially if their existing key becomes compromised. So yeah, I'm not too sure on that front. I don't have a strong opinion.
Well, we've done a decent amount of fudding, Bittensor. So what are you looking forward to? What are you most excited about? Whether specific subnets, Bittensor as a whole, what are you most looking forward to about the future?
I'm not excited for specific subnets. I'm sorry, subnets out there, but I just love the market dynamic of selecting the best miners and the best subnet owners and the best subnets, the best validators. I love that all of that comes together. And the magic that comes out of that is that you don't know what is coming. We have no idea what's coming with Bittensor. And to me, that's so exciting because it's like you take, I wanted to do a video on this analogy. It might be a reality as well. I think it actually happened in some US city. Basically there's an apartment building and lots of crime. The police had basically given up on the area and like there's drug dealers like all over in this apartment building, and the apartment building owner is like, I got to get these people out, right? Like it's bringing down the value of my property. Nobody wants to live there. Like it's not good. So he went to a private security firm and said like, help. Like, how do we get rid of these people? The violence and drugs all over the place, right? And the security firm came up with a solution that cost about 25 cents and completely removed all the drug deals from the building. And you're like, what? That's like, how is that possible, right? Because in the classic way of thinking about things, like you got to get your SWAT teams ready. You got to, go in there and like, take all these people to jail, and then you got to do investigations on them, and like the cost of that, and then the risk to human lives of that is huge, right? Like no wonder the police are not doing much about it, right? Like the cost there is just absolutely massive to go through with the typical way of thinking of things. But because this private security firm had their own way of figuring out how to get rid of these drug dealers, they could do it very cheaply, right? And I'm not telling you how they did it because I want the suspense to build in you, because it's like, how is this possible, right? But miners on subnets and subnet owners as well are coming up with these ideas that just don't occur to you and me, right? So what happened with this building is all they did is they took, 25 cents worth of paper. They went down to the print shop. They wrote on the piece of paper, or they printed on the paper, if you're an undercover police officer, phone this number before entering the building. They put that on all the doors. That's it. So the dynamic now is if you're a drug dealer, you go into the building, but you read this sign and you're going, oh, there's undercover people here. Well, now I can't trust people who are here. Right. And so they've laid this foundation for mistrust within the building. Now nobody wants to deal with each other in the building anymore because there's undercover cops there. Right. So just that idea that doesn't occur to, if you're just thinking of things through the regular lens of, how to deal with crime, just aren't going to occur to you. But if you can open up problems to the solutions that the marketplace of ideas or anybody can come up with solutions to stuff, you're going to come up with wild ideas that are not even possible for your brain to think about just because you don't have the experience in life as other people do. So for me, that's the most exciting part of Bittensor is I don't know what's going to come, but it's going to be some wild stuff that will never have occurred to me for sure. Like it already